Fighting to clear his name, Paul Shane Garrett spent years behind bars for the murder of a Nashville woman in 2000. But now DNA evidence points to a different man. That according to investigators who arrested Calvin Atchison in May. News Channel 5's Levi Ismail was in court today as the TBI, police, and Garrett himself all testified. And Levi, what happened during the hearing?
You know, we heard very little from Garrett. He said all of 4 words earlier, "No, I did not," when he was asked if he was the man responsible for killing Velma Tharp back in 2000. Now, it was brief, but it was the same thing he told investigators for the last 21 years. Detective Mike Rowland testified this afternoon that in the hours of interviews he's watched between Garrett and police, not once did Garrett ever admit to Tharp's murder. He said Garrett has always maintained his innocence, even when investigators at the time lied about finding Garrett's DNA on Tharp's body. There was a man's DNA present, but it was never matched to Garrett. And according to Detective Rowland, not one piece of evidence traced back to Garrett. He said the only time investigators claimed that Garrett admitted to the crime was during an interview that was never recorded. For every other interview, we heard the same from Garrett. Based on all the evidence, Detective Rowland said there's only one conclusion, that Garrett, who did plead guilty to voluntary manslaughter, did not commit the crime. Here's what the state's attorney had to say about it taking this long to potentially exonerate the man of this charge.
It is inexcusable that past that, in 2012, the district attorney's office, my office, continued to defend the conviction of Mr. Garrett despite having evidence demonstrating a clear and convincing support for his innocence.
We expect a decision shortly by Judge Angelita Dalton soon on if she plans to vacate Garrett's guilty verdict. That would clear the way for a new trial, but we already know the state does not intend to bring those charges back. That's because they already have Calvin Atchison in custody after investigators say it was his DNA they found on Tharp's body. We'll talk a little bit more about that DNA evidence coming up tonight at 5. Reporting, Levi Ismail, News Channel 5.